How are you doing?
I'm all right. I had a bit of a busy afternoon, but I'm not complaining.
What did you get up to, bro? You must be very busy.
I had meetings, so I had two prospective clients that I was meeting up with. So we were just talking to them, just trying to find out what it is they've done and how far they've come and how we can add value to their setup, because obviously the bulk of our clients are independent, so a lot of the things they do themselves. So we try and just in terms of a knowledge perspective, we just try and fill in the gaps with information and we share. Sometimes, they always feel a bit overwhelmed, but we're like, nah, don't worry about it. We'll break it down on a regular basis whenever you have any questions and just you're curious about stuff or you're seeking understanding, and we then fill in the gaps.
What is a music publishing company? Like, what does it
Mm,
entail? What
yeah.
what are the fundamentals? Like, what is it about?
For a lot of people, it's a bit complex. So I'm gonna try, and it's a gray area because it's something that actually even people who've artists and songwriters who've been in the business for years are still not exactly familiar with how things work. So we always have regular refresher conversations about how things work. So in its most basic and simple form, like a music publishing company, is one that ensures that songwriters and composers, because obviously we work with songwriters and composers and not artists. The reason why there's a distinction between an artist and a songwriter or composer is because the person who performs the song, the artist, isn't always the person who wrote the song or composed the beat. So, you'll have someone who will write lyrics for some people, and that's just what they do. They only write lyrics. You look at, you know, internationally, it's quite prevalent, even locally, a lot of artists locally, especially the vocalists, they don't always write their own music. I think a songwriter and composer who everyone will probably know wrote a lot of hits for people would be, God bless his soul, Robbie Malinga. You know what I mean? He's someone who wrote songs for other people and didn't always perform them himself. So obviously, as a publisher, you then have to make sure that Urobi receives his royalties for his compositions that are used commercially. So by commercially, I mean whenever the song is played on radio, the song is used in an advert or in a movie, or someone just buys a CD. So we have to make sure that all the income that comes from that exploitation of the song, all that income comes back to the songwriter or the composer, if depending on who he represents on the song.
That was very well explained, man. Like, you paint a complete picture, and I think I have a better understanding, especially
Okay.
the part where it's very distinctive. You get the artists and you get the actual songwriters and the people who wrote the song.
Yeah.
So it's really
Mm.
interesting. And, just on that vein, before I pass on to Meeks as well, you mentioned that, you met up with a couple of clients and whatnot, and you ran through some things with them. How do you guys go about, getting clients? Is it a situation where you guys reach out to certain songwriters, or do you get songwriters reaching out to you? Or is it sort of like just do you utilize both methods? Like, how do you guys go about that?
We utilize both methods, and sometimes a friend of either us personally will be like, "Yo, have you checked out so and so? You need to listen." And then we listen to their music. And sometimes someone will reach out and say, "Yo, I got your contact details from so and so." Maybe one of our clients, will tell their friends, "It's yo guys, this is the this is Luyanda, he's from 1891 and, he does my publishing, blah, blah. And sometimes it comes across when the guys are, okay, they've done the song, it's ready now, and now they splitting the percentages in the song. And then they're just doing the admin, they're filling in a split sheet. And then obviously the guy will probably put 8991 as the publisher. And then obviously from there, some guys will be intrigued. I'm like, yo, what's this about? What's a publisher? And then, the guy like, they'll tell them what, vague understanding that they might remember or might have. And then from there, we then, facilitate the conversation. So it's never people always reaching out. We reach out to people, and sometimes someone will just point us in the direction of someone who they feel is someone we should check out. And sometimes when we do reach out to people, some, blue tick us, or they don't take our calls, or our emails just stay on unread, but we don't get deterred, because we know a lot of writers, a lot of artists. I want to use artists, loosely, but, a lot of writers and composers need, but obviously sometimes it takes a while for them to actually see. I think the cause of that is actually just an understanding and a fear of whenever anyone gets approached, it's like, ish, am I really going to sign this? Maybe I'm signing my life away. So it's just an understanding aspect that is usually lacking.
I think it's really sick that you guys have that balance, when it comes to getting clients. It's really important, for you guys to reach out to other people. And it's just as great of a feeling when, you get a response as when an artist reaches out to you guys and is like, hey, I want to work with you guys. So I think this is a really good balance that you guys have. And it's cool that you guys don't let it get to you, like when people don't respond, because
Yeah.
it just shows that you guys are grounded, and are focused on, your end goal. So shout out to you for that. And for anyone who's listening to this, we are joined by Luyanda of 8991. And yeah, guys, music publishing company from here in Durban. And yeah, I want to pass on to Meeks.
I want to know the story about the name.
So the company is co-owned by myself and my sister, Namsile. So it's a family business. We got family values. And then 8991, I was born in 89 and she was born in 91. So we just kept our identity part of the company.
I've seen RED a lot around. Like, what is that about? What is Red?
Realizing every dream, because obviously all of our clients come in with their dreams, and we try help them realize them.
What I'm getting from it is that you like to take this sort of ground up approach. What state does an artist have to sort of come to you in?
People who've probably just released their first EP or something, we're not a record label, so we're not looking for a finished product. As publishers, we help develop you. We're in the development phase, you know what I mean? So we work off of potential. So we'll listen to your music and we'll work off of that, we'll take it from there. And so we're not going to be only prioritizing the guys who've written hits, because we understand music has a long lifespan, and I think with streaming, some people tend to think that, songs come and go, but that's not the case, So we believe in just growing with you. We're going to take it a day by day, and we're not chasing for superstars. Of course, we'd love to have superstars, but it's always great seeing someone, just blossoming and see, and just becoming this, from the ugly duckling when no one really wanted to work with them, and then this beautiful swan, and by then everyone wants to work with the songwriter. And in most instances, it's the artist. Or if it's a composer, then then every household name wants to work with them, because obviously their work now speaks for them. They've built a catalog. So it's always ideal to just look at someone and look at their potential. So we work off of potential. We don't work off of what's your social media numbers, what's this, what's that. We just listen to your music, and if we feel there's something there, and it could be anything. Sometimes it's just a case of maybe we like how they write their hooks, but we feel the actual songwriting hasn't really developed quite well, and we believe, okay, if they can write hooks, then it's just a matter of helping them and guiding them here and there, But obviously, it takes time. So we're in we're in a different business model compared to record labels. We're on the development and we're in it for the long haul. We're not trying to do a money grab. I think that's pretty much how we go about sourcing talent.
So now, as a music publishing company, bro, what you essentially saying that the difference, when it comes to 8991 is that you guys also, assist and help writers sort of, improve on their pen game, basically.
Yeah, that, and
Yeah.
obviously even with composers, because sometimes a lot of the guys they come in and they aren't familiar with a lot of things, because people will be like, yo man, how do I get my song onto radio? What do I need to, what are the, and then we'll tell them, okay, you just need to, obviously your contents, there's certain contents that radio doesn't really, take into consideration, especially from an unknown person, unknown artist or unknown writer. So obviously we'll then just help you be aware of those things, things simple. And to a lot of people, it seems simple, but it makes a huge difference to someone who doesn't know. Things like keep your song to about 3 minutes, nothing longer than that, because radio won't play it. That your intro, for your beat, it's too long. Your intro should be way shorter, maybe 10 seconds, and then the vocals start, you know what I mean? So it's just, those little things when they still starting out. And then obviously sometimes like your hook is too repetitive, change that. Your subject matter, it's empty, you just always about, yo, me and my dogs, me and my niggas, those type of repetitive lines. Like, no, cut that. Like, what is your story? Tell us about you. We want to know who you are, what you're going through, what you've been through, what are your aspirations. Tell us that, because everybody is talking about making money, you know what I mean? But what then is going to make me want to listen to your song? Because obviously everyone is putting out music, so we try help you focus on that and just not be ashamed of just being who you are. Just write your truth.
So with your expertise, like on all of the things that you just mentioned there, are these things that you sort of acquired over the years through experience? Is this something, that you'd sort of attribute to maybe studying, a certain field? Where does this come from, and who exactly within, the structure of the business that you guys have going is responsible for, advising the songwriters and artists, on their approach when it comes to radio and all of that?
We're a 3 people team, so it's myself, Nkululeko Mbhele, and then my sister Namsile Ngob. It's the 3 of us, So I think we were part of, Nkululeko and I were part of the Komisa program. So Komisa does this program where they teach, they get, industry professionals from Gauteng, and then they bring them down. And then we went through the year-long program. It's a masterclass. And then from there, we got to learn what it is that, we should look out for, you know what I mean? And then from there, I went and interned at Trace Africa. So I got inside the whole machine and see, oh, so this is why they're not playing my music video or so-and-so's video and all of those things. So you get to see exactly what's going on, and you get to see the thinking of what informs certain decisions, because obviously at the reality of radio and TV is that they are pretty much selling adverts. They're not trying to break your song, you know what I mean? It's a harsh reality, but that's pretty much it. They're just a billboard and they want adverts on the station and channels and whatever. So obviously now you get to see why certain things are the way they are. I personally now no longer take a lot of things personally. And Unkulego, once we completed our program, he went and interned at Fifth Season. So he's also quite well in terms of just how the label thinks and processes things, you know what I mean? So we always have got tips here and there for artists, because initially we used to do management and publishing, but then we decided to just restructure and focus predominantly on publishing. But obviously the artist management tools are still there and the information we still have, but it's just that sometimes managing an artist when they are no funds, it can be really frustrating on both the artist and the manager. So we opted, let's just rather focus on publishing, as it requires way less capital in like it's more of a time investment than a money investment.
So would you say that working with independent artists, that the end goal is for them to get signed with a manager or a label? Or is it something like for them to be sustainably independent?
I think that's a question they can answer, because obviously they all have different dreams. Like I'll use an example of Ngobiaz. You know, when we first started working with him, he was already buzzing in the city, and we started working with him. And then later on, he went on, he got a manager, and then he got signed, and then he's now at Mabala Noise, you know, so he's doing really well for himself. And then there's also the story of Sibunzuza, you know what I mean? We met him when he was still at the warehouse with Arnold's incubation program. So he also then went on to later be signed to Ambitious. So obviously, you know, we'd like to see our guys graduate beyond being, you know, in inverted commas, just local artists. We want them to for their talents to be exposed to the rest of the world, you know, and with streaming and the whole digital platforms, that's now it's an achievable goal. But obviously it takes time, it takes money, it takes a whole lot of people involved for you to get to being global. But it is possible. That's the beauty of the times we live in. So I cannot decide for each person what they want to do, but they know what they want at the end of the day.
What music do you listen to personally? Because I've listened through your playlist on Spotify and it's dope. But I'm wondering if you
Thank you.
listen to that like all the time and that's just yours, or is there a whole different soundscape that you like to enjoy?
On a personal level, I love hip hop, you know. I love house, dance music. And when I say dance music, you know, I think everything, you know, because I'm from Durban. Igqom is a very strong part of our identity, you know. I think when it was about to catch on, you know, Umuntu was kind of in the background just watching it and just enjoying seeing its rise, you know. So I love hip hop, I love dance music. Obviously occasionally I'll listen to different genres just to obviously grow my ear and not just be stuck on one thing. But I love hip hop, you know. I love mellow, you know, the backseat type of hip hop. So I love people who have a story to tell. So the whole trying to go party is not really my thing. I need something that's gonna motivate me and you know, just inspire me when I listen to you. You know, so Celestial Mike is, you know, Celestial Mike has got a wide range, but obviously there are those songs that connect with me on a personal level when he's very introspective. You know, I think he's just an amazing writer. You know, I think from just our roster in terms of just rappers, and then there's Craft as well. You know, he's also very introspective. You know, I'd probably liken him to Mink Jenkins. You know what I mean? So he's also on that tip, very, very, very introspective and just very well thought out how he writes his music. And then obviously there's other guys too, you know, and then there's writers like Uma, you know, she's also an amazing writer. You know, she does that whole neo soul, hip hop, R&B that Mary J. Blige dabbles in, you know, so she's also very, very, you know. And then there's Uyashna, you know, who has just been growing from strength to strength, you know, and she writes, and I love her voice, you know, and her writing is also just, you know, very, 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 very good. And she's been improving with each project. When you listen from her debut project, you know, Phases of My Broken Heart, and you just go through her catalog, you hear the growth, and that's pretty much what, you know, brings me satisfaction, just seeing people's growth, people seeing them grow and seeing them becoming who they are. Obviously Abdus, there's not much to say there because we signed him when he was already Abdus, so I grew up listening to Abdus, you know what I mean? In high school, I remember the very first time I saw him performing, I think it was a concert ka Ayanda, Hip Hop Masekaya, so there's a line that just, for me, it was like hip hop ngafunga ukuthi nginamathele ngoba ngiyayixebula. So I was like, what? So from there I was a fan. That line alone for me is what made me believe it's this guy is special. So I can't mention everyone in our roster, but I think those are just the ones that top of mind, in terms of just my daily listening. Simi Sims as well, Ngobiyazo, great writers, amazing writers, and those are just guys who, especially Simi Sims, he's grown, he's grown from the sound he used to do. I think he's now reached a level where he's found his comfort zone, his comfort space, which this is who I am. This is Simi Sims. The growing pains when they take a lot out of us, and they help shape us, to who we are and who we're supposed to be. But obviously growth is always coming in phases. So maybe this is just a phase of him as well. A phase of Ngobi, when you listen to his tape and you listen to Impi, you hear there's just so much spirituality in his writing, and that's the one thing that I always connected with him. So I mean, it's very broad what I listen to, but hip hop is my go-to because it always has a story to tell.
I think the one thing that I, for one, can appreciate in the list of artists that you guys have gotten to work with, and I think that everyone can actually appreciate, is the versatility. I mean, you literally went from Celestial Mike. You even mentioned Uma, and Uma. I used to watch her and Existing Consciousness whenever they used to play at the Winston, and I've gotten to know some of the band members personally as well. To Yashna. It's like there's a lot of versatility, and it just shows, one, that you guys are able to work with various styles of music and all that, and I feel that even from a business perspective, you guys you've positioned yourself in a very good place because of that versatility, and not sort of limiting yourself to sort of one genre. And I feel like you as Luyanda also embody that, because this is literally, as you say, this is the music that you listen to. So I feel like a piece of you and the person that you are is very much instilled into the DNA of the music publishing company that you're on with your sister. On the business side of things, would you say that running a music publishing or music publication is something that is sustainable, like especially in Durban or even South Africa as a whole? Are there enough songwriters? Let's focus on Durban for now because you're there. Are there enough songwriters in Durban for this to be a sustainable business?
Certainly, bro. I mean, we've had songs placed on Black Panther, Kobisi Kolo, like we represent a writer on that song. And now there's more. I mean, there's a Netflix production that's coming. That song is also going to be, we're crossing fingers, it's going to be used there again. So it's sustainable. It's just that it needs us to work, work hard, from the writers, from the artists, from us ourselves. We need to look for as many opportunities as possible so that people are able to live off of music. Because obviously, I mean, when you look at how the entertainment industry is slowly shifting towards KwaZulu-Natal, you know what I mean? You look at it's by, as much as it wasn't based here, but it touches on our pretty much a lot of very KZN storyline. You look at Uzalo, that's TV moving here, Durban Gen, Imbewu, there's other shows. KZN Film Office is always financing a lot of local stories. Kakasi exists now. There's Ivuma FM, those are commercial stations. East Coast Radio, Ukozi, those are royalty paying stations. And then you've got your communities which help build the brand and not necessarily pay royalties, but at least they help in just the value chain of the industry. So it's growing. You've got independent channels like 1KZN TV. It's a community, but who knows? They probably also have their own aspirations, and maybe in the next 10 years they might be full on commercial and they might start having original works, they're commissioning shows and stuff like that. So I personally believe there's huge potential, and we don't have enough hands yet, but we'll get there. You know what I mean? Because you look at the hits that come out of people who are from KZN, and they might not necessarily be based here anymore, but they're from here. So that's why we believe let's help you while you're on your journey to the top, and then along the way, people with probably more resources and so on and so forth, they may end up being the ones who take you to the next level. But at least let's have some sort of identity, or just help you in just becoming the beautiful swan that you're supposed to be. So there is opportunities here, and obviously it's not going to be easy, but it's possible. That's the one thing I've realized, and we just need to keep working. And more clients means more work, and more work means more sustainability.
What I want to know is, with the kind of work that you guys do, um, is there like a budget that goes into it? Like earlier you were mentioning how, you would give advice to songwriters in terms of, okay, this is what, and composers as well, in terms of how they should structure their stuff. Is there a budget that goes into running this, as an artist? Or say I'm a composer and I come to you guys and I approach you, do I need to have a certain amounts that I need to pay you guys in order for everything to proceed? How does this work in terms of finances overall?
So there's no any upfront fees. So there's no joining fee, there's no membership fees or anything like that. So we work on a percentage split. So whatever we collect on your behalf, whatever we sync, we take a percentage out of that. So it's kind of like commission based in a way, but not really. But it's, I think for me, that's how I see it. It's like if I make money, or if I find money for you, let's say you did a song, like let's look at Abdus as a case study. Abdus has been he's been writing songs for a very long time, and he didn't have a publisher. So we've been digging the Samro and Capasso undocs. So undocs it's a document from Samro and Capasso where all the songs that have generated an income, but the rights holders, whether the writer or the composer, is unknown, or they're not a member of Samro, or they, for whatever reason, they never notified the song, or maybe the song was notified, but maybe the radio station or the TV channel made a spelling error somewhere, somehow. So it's just songs that are just uncollected. It's money that's uncollected. So we go and we dig, and we sit and we spend a lot of time going through spreadsheets of lines and lines of about maybe 80,000 lines. So it's, what we do is not glamorous at all. It's straight up admin, and it's something that a lot of writers are not trying to do. So we try and just take that burden off of them, and then, whatever we find is what we split, you know what I mean? So there's no pay me upfront. So we split on a percentage basis. And obviously, the percentages vary according to, each person, we negotiate, they negotiate, and then we take it from there.
So would I be right in saying you work with administration agreements, or are there other types of deals that you also negotiate in?
It's purely admin what we do. We do admin. We just try and make sure that your admin is proper, because once your admin is proper, that's how you're able to see the money flowing back to you. It may take time, but it does flow back to you.
I think a lot of new artists underestimate the amount of admin that there's gonna be when you decide to be an independent artist, and at some point you just have like less and less time to actually make the music. And that's where
True.
you guys come in. And I'm so glad to like hear this attitude of like making your work for prosperity. So
Yeah.
like the priorities are definitely like way better than I expected, in terms of like there's always been this reputation between musicians, the creators, and the industry members as like
Yeah.
gatekeepers. But what I'm hearing from you is that you're more of like a welcome. this
Yeah, I
is how
mean,
you
our
do
door is always
it.
open. Yeah, I mean, I always tell people this is how we did it, and obviously, it needs a certain level of patience, because obviously it's very intensive admin, So if it's not something you're looking for, it's or something you enjoy, of course, the I think the fun part of the day is when we listen to Yashna's new project before it's out, and then we get excited, and then obviously after that the excitement dies down. Okay, now we have to notify and make sure the collection societies, by collection societies I mean, all the organizations that house the money that gets paid to, and then from there we then are able to collect the money on their behalf. So I think for us it's that, independence as a whole is not flashy, it's not glamorous, it's a lot of work, and publishing is even worse. So an independent artist will complain and say, yeah, but I don't have a manager, I do this myself. Yeah, you're supposed to do it. You're independent, that's what it entails. You are the parent, so you have to make sure that the house is clean, there's food, there's groceries, you've paid the rents, paid the rates, bought electricity, paid the water, everything. You're independent, you are the parents, you do everything. You pay for everything. You pay the guy's gonna do the artwork, you pay whoever, the mixing and video. You have to oversee the budgets of everything. So that's what independent entails. And if we can then just at least like, okay, tell you what, let's take away the stress of dealing with Samro and Capasso, and then you can deal with the rest of the stuff. Then we've done our job well.
Did COVID have any effect on you guys running as a business at all? Or was it just, business as usual?
It was business as usual because we don't do live shows. Music was still getting played on radio. In fact, it actually boosted the streams because most people, I suppose that the streams element is, it's what do we call this? It's a double-edged sword because some people probably terminated their subscriptions and because on streaming platforms because maybe they unemployment, so like let me try save on non-essentials. And then for some people they actually started listening to more music because they had time, and they were discovering more music. They were looking for entertainment and content at the start of the lockdown, but obviously as it eased up and doors started opening, to live venues, and then it closes again. But I think with us, it never really impacted that much. But where it did hurt us is in terms of production companies, because a lot of the small indie production companies closed their doors permanently, which is really sad. And then a lot of productions stopped for a while, so we couldn't hustle opportunities there. You know what I mean? So in terms of, because obviously the entertainment industry as a whole is a very relationship, face-to-face kind of industry. So we're struggling to have those of late, those face-to-face conversations with people and interactions. But technology allowed us to have, Zoom, send an email, send them a playlist, like, yo, this is our playlist. That's why, so with our Spotify playlist, that's just all the new releases, we add them there. So usually add them at the top, you know what I mean? So, and then, as you go through it, we try and keep it to about 40-45 songs, but sometimes it gets longer if there's a lot of new releases at the same time. And then we're like, yeah, but people still need to hear these songs. So that's why we do the playlist, so that even if, you just on our website and you check us out there and then you're like, oh, okay, let me hear what their catalog is like. And then you pick up what you like. And if there's anything you want to license, and then the conversations goes on further, and then you can email us and then, say, I like the song, and then Then we discuss in terms of the terms of usage you're going to be using the song for, and then we take it from there.
What I'm hearing is that there are actually quite a few opportunities outside of live performance
Yeah.
for musicians and for songwriters. Um, do you do you encourage maybe musicians that do a lot of all of this work by themselves to start even doing it for other people? Like if you are a guitarist, but you can also write lyrics, you should try and be a lyricist for someone else and like, you know, extend your skills beyond just your project.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, sometimes you don't even have to be the one. Like, let's look at Kanye West. Kanye West, when you look at credits on his songs, there's so many people. Well, apart from the fact that he samples a lot, but there's always a lot of people involved in the creation of a song. Because the average hits, like an average hit song, has got about 4 writers involved. So, collaborations are very key because obviously there you get new ideas and then you get someone who's able to explain something better. So try it, maybe just like help someone just better deliver a certain bar or hook or whatever, And then from there, and I always encourage writers to just, be accommodating and do collaborations because that's when you grow as well. When you see someone else's working process, you learn something through that. That's why I personally feel what happened at the warehouse was beautiful for the city because you had all of these amazing creatives just collaborating and learning from each other, and hence the reason why you're now seeing a lot of the guys that came out of that incubation program now just reaching new heights, because obviously those type of things, it takes time for people to realize anything in development because it's development. It's not going to be an instant gratification. It's going to take time for it to mature. So I always encourage people to just try and do co-writes and collaborations, and if you want to try it, but obviously a lot of guys take their work very seriously, so you might not get the opportunity straight away, but it doesn't mean you should stop trying. Maybe sometimes you can maybe talk to the person, like let's say you want to work with whomever and you kind of know who represents them, maybe talk to them first. If you talking to them directly is not working out, then maybe speak to their publisher or ask your publisher to talk to their publisher, and then it gets heard differently when it comes from someone that the writer or artist trusts.
I've noticed a bit of a pattern looking at your social media,
Yeah.
namely Instagram, and I've noticed a couple of posts that are very similar to one of the friends of the show, and obviously
Yeah.
I'm speaking about V-Table Connect. Is there a connection there between what you guys are running and what Uzama is doing on her side?
Well, Uzama is my cousin, so
What?
yeah,
Dude, you're pretty much family at this point.
yeah. So I mean, Uzama is a huge inspiration of mine. I think just I think she's really worked hard on getting Itego Connect off the ground, and I love seeing her shining. I think there's still more to come, and I always tell her if she needs anything, and I'm always available. At first, we used to bounce ideas, and when she was like, I was always like, yo man, just do it, just do it, just do it, just do it. How we sometimes lack confidence at times, like, yo, am I really? Yeah, man, just do it. There's only one way to find out if it's gonna work or not. Just do it. And then from there, I mean, I think everyone can see, because I think she hosted listening session that Simi Sims, so our connection, are there for a reason. So yeah, we're family.
Dude, greatness runs in your family. Like, shout out to you guys. Like, honestly, like as I said, bro, you're pretty much family. Like, Meeks and I are huge admirers of her work. We've had her on the
Mm,
show, like we've done a lot of collaborative, episodes and all that.
mm,
So she's really good at what she does. So the fact
yeah.
that you're doing well, it just shows that it must be like a family thing, this whole work ethic thing that you guys have. Shout out.
It's what we've been taught. You just work and that's it. The the rewards and the accolades, they'll come if they come, but just keep working.
I think that there is definitely a roundtable in the future featuring some.
Certainly,
Okay.
certainly. I mean, we're always open for such. I think there was gonna be one who's I had planned, and then lockdown happened, or some, it was just a bit tricky. But there was plans for one, last year sometime, and then just these levels keep going up and down, so it becomes kind of hard to plan certain things if we were gonna have human interaction.
What made you start this in the first place? Because I know that there's a history of music management, but what
Yeah.
made you actually enter the industry in the first place?
My friends, Nkoluleko, who's also part of the team, Nkoluleko no Lindo Kosh, they are a rap duo, Earth Assignments. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with them. So, around 2010, 11, that's when they most active in terms of just making music. And I mean, I love their music. And 2012, I was like, yo, guys, I want to manage you guys. I didn't know anything at that time, nothing. Like, I just like, yo, guys, I want to manage you guys, because that's how much I loved what they did. Administratively, I'm a bit organized. At the time, I was a bit organized than they were, because they were just, they artists and they very artistic people, they graphic designers, they do everything, you know what I mean? So that's where for me it started. I just wanted to see them, like, yo, come on, guys. You guys are so dope. I mean, my face. You're doing so much more. So I was like, first they were skeptical, like, we know you know nothing about this, but I kept persisting, like, yo, Fitz, come on, let's do this. And then I'd start Googling stuff, sending them links, like, yo, submit your song. Yeah, here's the email. And at the time, I think Twitter was starting to become like a thing. So a lot of radio stations or hip hop shows specifically, Twitter accounts. So when you interact with them, they'd reply. Unlike now, they just mize you, but you find new ways of getting through. Sometimes they reply now, but like back in the day, it was this thing of, yo, Twitter, so Twitter was still very, how can I put this? It was still very positive, there was still this whole, just breaking barriers, communication is more direct. That's how it was sold to us. So I was using it like that. And then that's where it started. And then obviously you submit your music, and because you don't know what's supposed to accompany the song, then they tell you no, but where's the label copy? And then you're like, what's that? And like, no, label copy is the information of the song, ISRC, publisher details, all of those things. And obviously, because we've all heard the whole payola with the music industry, and then we start thinking, these guys, they just want money. All of this SAMRO stuff they're telling us about is, RISA, ISRC, all of those things publish. These guys are just making it difficult for us. And only to find that, I speak to the guys and tell them, yo, what about a SAMRO? And like, yeah, no, we know about SAMRO. We're registered. And like, oh, and then we went to, I think it was still a pet center at the time, Sam. So we went there, I didn't know anything. So I went there, I first went onto their website, because I think a lot of people, what they don't realize is if you go to the frequently asked questions area, if you're new to something, if you go there and you just read through all those questions and answers, by the time you go there, you're better informed, and the questions that you have, are not what's there. You're asking different questions. So we went there, got brochures, and then I asked them, what do you need to have to be a publisher? And obviously in its most basic form, they're like, no, you just need to have a company. And that's it. Like, yeah, that's it. And then they give you their standard template contract. You know what I mean? And that's how we started, and so suddenly we were managing artists, and we also did publishing, of which we weren't really doing publishing, but on paper we were doing publishing. So that's when the whole interest, so the more you Google stuff, you read about stuff, and unfortunately at the time, or fortunately, um a lot of what we found on the net was very American based. So some of the things, didn't necessarily apply as how they said it on the websites or on videos and stuff like that. So that's when we did some more digging, and you're always fishing, you're attending any music workshop, and then Uspe of the Music in Bezo, you know what I mean? That's someone who we start attending in Bezo, we start, because now Uspe is the only guy that I knew who had information. So, we go to him whenever schedule meetings, when he's around, because, Mbizo is always out the country. So when he's around, we go there, we have conversations, and, from there, I think, who was it? FK, may he rest in peace. FK, who was the station manager of Izulum Zant, he's Brazo from around Lana, so he was the one who put us on to Ikomisa, like, yo, because I think Ikomisa had, they did their call out, and they're probably at the station. So he was like, yo, you guys do your music thing, you need to go there and check this out. And we went there, and the program had actually started. We were late, but somehow we got in, because there were still spaces, and we got in. And from there, we haven't looked back. We've just been always just information hungry, always attending any music workshop, any music conversation, any roundtable. Just because obviously you network like this, and then from there it's just been step by step and building and just getting clients and meeting people, having conversations that I'm having now with you guys. And having you guys means we're reaching more people, because obviously your audience is going to listen, and there are those who are going to be interested, and then we encourage them to please hit us up and not think I'm not big enough or whatever. Just you never know. We don't work off of numbers. We're not gonna look at your Instagram, are you popping? We're not gonna go to YouTube and check if your music is popping. We're just gonna listen to the music, for what it is, and then we go off of that. So I think that's where it started. So my sister and I, we registered the company. We had the company before what we initially wanted to do is something we're probably still gonna do, but what we wanted to do initially, we didn't have funds for. So we're always around music. So she pretty much handles the finances for the most part. But this year, I was like, I think, when was it? 2 years ago, we had the conversation that you need to also enlist in the Komisa program so that they can just make you aware of how the whole business works. You know what I mean? You don't have to be, as hands-on as an A&R, you know what I mean? But you need to know how everything works, so that even if you want to sign someone and I'm not available or I'm not around or whatever, you're able to still execute. And then the rest I'll probably fill in later, you know what I mean? So I think that's the one thing that we've worked towards and worked on. So that's the next level for us, is probably to be self-sufficient. At the moment we were under another company, but eventually we want to break away and be self-sufficient and just have everything in our own hands. But that's probably like 5 years away from now or something. But you never know. We're just looking at how the revenue is going and how it's growing. So that's going to determine a lot of things. The revenue, do we want to break away and start paying for everything out of pockets, or do we still want to have like that bigger brother, as I call it, just there in case you hit brick walls and there's people who are not playing fair, because obviously in this business not everyone is fair when it comes to the publishing splits on a song. So you keep fighting for what's yours and you don't give up.
Yeah. As someone who's privy to the first plays of a fresh track, and you get to hear things before they're out to the people. Is there something that you can tell us about what's coming next for the scene?
Okay, I'm going to speak on some of my clients. Uyasha just dropped the Amapiano project, but she's working on new material, set to drop later this year. Boo Jam, they're working on a Chrome EP. That should have been out a while ago, but their producers who target non-delay and co-collaborators on most of their songs, they were in a very horrific accident. I think it was late last year. So they were in a coma for a while. So they're fine now. They're out of hospital. So I think the project will continue. We're grateful we didn't lose their lives, and they're still gonna be rocking us, for years to come. Abdus is working on something. I'm not sure, he's putting together a project, and Newandawa is gonna drop Ilingo 2. And then Simi Sims is working on a deluxe of Ibantu Time. So it's gonna have features, because the original didn't have any features. It was just him alone. So the deluxe is gonna have features. I'm not sure of dates, so please don't hold me to dates. Because with independent guys, it's ready when it's ready, I think Obi Magic is also working on something. He's set to drop as well. Vanessa Jackson is always working on something. So she's always, she's got a release that she's going to be releasing with this this household name in France, Oh Bele. I think it's set to drop next month or later this month, one of the two. And that song is set to do well because the label that's going to be releasing that song is, putting a bit of budget. They've got budget for PR in France and the UK. So that song might spill over into those territories. Hopefully, if radio receives it well. I think those are the guys that I can remember that are working on something. I mean, the other guys are working, but they probably haven't mentioned it. Because sometimes they just send it when it's still like roughly recorded, and they're like, "What do you think?" before they send it to post-production. So I think that's that. And then there's a Netflix series that's coming. You're gonna hear Kobi Sikolo on Crossing Fingers that the license goes through, and all of the other rights holders on the song, because it has a lot of people on it. Everyone is happy with the fees that are being quoted, and we get to put pen to paper on that one.
Hey, that is dope, bro. It's really exciting that, Durban's got a lot coming up. So shout out to that, bro. And we just want to thank you for, coming through to the show and sharing your story with us, sharing your music publication story with us. And we've had a really good time. So we've got less than a minute left. Just give us the handles and how people can get in touch with you guys, and we'll see it out from there.
You can catch us on at 8991 80 NINE 90ONE.